All right, it's release day for Marginalia Search, and to celebrate this and to court disaster, I will be performing a demo of the new features. There's nothing like our demo to discover new bugs, so let's go. The first thing we will do is basically install the software. This is on a clean virtual machine. It has Docker Compose, and Java 21 installed. Not much else. So we have cloned the sources, and let's go to Marginalia search directory. And the first thing to do is run a setup script, which will download a bunch of binary models that aren't in the Git repository for size reasons. This will take a moment, but not too long. I may cut out some waiting time here. All right, that's all done. Now we need to build this. And we use the Gradle wrapper and just run the target Docker, and we will compile the sources and build Docker images. And this will take about 3 minutes. So I will edit the video in real life. I will sip some coffee and meditate on time passing by. All right, we are finished. Now we need to run an install script as well. And if we just run it like this, it will complain that we need to provide it with an install directory. So let's do that. Now we're prompted at which sort of configuration we want, and I will go with the double node barebones variant. You can go with a single node variant if you don't want to mix crawled and sideloaded data, or you can set up basically a clone or Marginalia search, the website. That isn't really interesting unless you're hacking on that particular piece of software. So let's go with option number 2. Now we are prompted with some database details. We need to create a user and supply a password. But since this is just a demo, let's go with demo. And then we press enter and it will install. That's it. Now we can go to the directory I provided as an install directory, and we will have a directory structure in here. And now I'm going to do something that's specific to this demo. The code assumes that you will either be running this locally or use a reverse proxy to allow access to the ports it exposes, so it will only listen to localhost. But since this is on a VM behind an external firewall, I will make it listen to all addresses. So let's edit this file a bit, and if you're following along at home, let's not do this. This is a bit of a security liability, but since this is a safe environment and there's an external firewall, it doesn't really matter. So I will do it anyway. Now we can start the system, and I will actually start it showing the logs, I think, because that's interesting. The system will spin up and pull in a bunch of images from Docker. We need a MariaDB instance for keeping some bookkeeping, and the reverse proxy, that is Trafic. And it will take a moment to start up, but everything should be automatic. So let's yet again meditate on the advancement of time and maybe fast forward in editing. All right, things appear to be spinning up. Possibly there was an exception here. So it's because I have a tab open with the control interface. Yes, so the system is up and running at this point. And this is the control user interface. Sorry, that's the wrong address. Marginalia demos, the one I want to access. This is a clean install. There's no data anywhere. It's really boring. There's also a quote-unquote user-facing aspect of this, which is basically just documentation for the search endpoint. You're supposed to be using this as a backend, but you have a basic query interface where you can type test or something, but there's no results because there's nothing loaded into the system yet. So let's fix that. I will prepare a bit by downloading sample data on index node number 2, and this will take a hot minute, so it will run in the background, and then we go to index node number 1, and then we will be crawling my websites. When you're going to a new crawl here for the first time, you will see there's no crawling specifications because the system doesn't know about any domain on the internet anywhere, so you need to tell it which domains to crawl. So you go here, and then you can copy this link if you're just doing some testing, and it will lead to a list that looks like this. This is a test file I'm using for parsing this file, and for doing basically safe crawls. It will crawl my blog, the root document of the search engine, and some other places. You won't get blocked by crawling this, and so it's safe in that regard. Let's give it a hang kill treatment. This is kind of important to type in something here so you can find it later, because you're going to be having trouble otherwise. And it will create a crawl specification. Nothing is happening yet, and there's a fairly long disclaimer about why you might not want to crawl the wider internet on your domestic broadband like I've been doing. You can get temporarily blocked from a bunch of websites, or sometimes permanently blocked, and your ISP may be angry, or the law may be angry, or your partner may be angry, or your landlord may be angry. So at your own risk is the key point here. But since we're just crawling my websites, it's fine. And I'm already blocked from a bunch of places with this IP anyway, so that's also fine. So let's go and crawl. And what will happen is the crawler will spin up and almost immediately jump to 60%, because 3 of those 5 domains didn't actually have all that much data. And I think we can actually look at the logs and see that it finished the memex endpoint, the memex domain immediately, because it doesn't really resolve. It's just a redirect. This search domain has, I think, 1 viable document, and this one is possibly the same. And then the documentation has a few more, and finally my blog will be the slowest. But let's abort this just for demonstration purposes. This will terminate in a moment, and we will see if we go to the crawl data. This will be in possibly a bit of a weird state. Open the crawler log. See that some of this has finished, but not all of it. Right, but actually I changed my mind. I don't want to abort this, so there's now a recovery form you can use to restart a process that has been aborted. And a neat feature about the new crawling is that you can actually resume an aborted crawl, and it won't in general refetch more than it needs to. So it should wrap up in a moment. Let's go and check on the download. Actually, I think it's finished now. So there is crawl data on node number 2. And this is quite a bit more. Let's open this crawl log, and it should look something like this. This is 1,000 domains. So that's more. Node number 1 finish yet? No. So let's sideload some content on this node as well. We can sideload Wikipedia, but we won't sideload all of Wikipedia, I think we should sideload 100 articles. So we actually need to log into this environment again and go to Marginalia, barebones, and then we need to go into the directory structure and go to index 2, uploads, and then we can download this particular zim file, which is a small sample of Wikipedia articles. Otherwise, this video would be like several hours long, and it wouldn't be very interesting. So let's not process all of Wikipedia. And while we are at it, we can create a web archive file as well, and there's a nice shortcut for this here. Just for sample purposes, we will aggressively crawl my blog. At the end, my blog is fine to target. It's a static site. If you want to do this in real life, you should probably add a timeout, but for now we can just do this. All right, and actually we don't need the directory structure. Let's remove that. Now we have a web archive file here, and we will load this as well. But let's go to the encyclopedia part first. We select the zim file we downloaded, and there's an option to like use an alternative base URL. You can use Encyclopedia Marginalia or something like that. We'll just basically prepend this to the article names, but let's kick off the sideloading. And the sideloading 100 articles is very quick. Like full English Wikipedia is something like 5 million articles, and it runs in an hour or so. 100 should be pretty quick. And then we can sideload this web archive directory we had set up as well. Unfortunately, there's no way to inspect what's in it from this user interface at this point, but maybe in the future. Right, so now we are sideloading this. And yes, this should be very quick as well. And actually, did we process the sample data? No, we have processed data for the Wikipedia and web archive, but not for the sample data. So let's process the same sample data as well. And this should be relatively quick, slower than anything else we're doing today, but it should be going on. And while this is happening, let's jump over to index node number 1. The crawler has finished, so we can actually process and load automatically this crawl data. Actually, I wonder if I messed up this node number 2. Possibly, yes, I selected convert and load, which is not actually what I wanted to do, but I think that's fine. Actually, no, it isn't. So let's abort this. Since we want to sideload content as well, we should disable this load automatically, because otherwise it will delete the intermediate processing stages. So let's redo this, and let's go over to process data and delete this guy, I think. Right. And it should be vanishing in any moment. Right, and let's go to the system overview. Is index node number 1 finished already? Yes, it is. So this is just a couple of 100 documents, so loading it into the system is very quick. And that means this is turning out to be quite a chaotic demo, but I think that's fine. The point I wanted to show was what's the feeling of this interface, more so than be like a tutorial on how to use it. So now we have results loaded for my websites, which is from the crawl I did. That's fine. Let's go over here, and it's at 47%. Let's see, we can we can do something interesting. I think we can go to the message queue. Actually, that's an interesting user interface. This is if you want holes in your feet, this is where you go. You can do anything, but nothing is easy. You can inspect how the system is processing these like low-level messages and how they connect together. If you've worked in finance and worked with Swift, then this may feel a bit familiar, and you get the same sort of feeling. Yes. How are we doing? It's still processing. Can I do something while this is processing? Actually, I don't think I can do that because it's not letting me process multiple sources at the same time on the same node. That's one of the points of having multiple nodes, is that you can run multiple processing tasks at the same time, but not arbitrarily. But I think it's wrapping up relatively quick. It's only 1,000 domains, so this is not a lot. Some of them are larger than others. And this is actually what I'm processing right now is sample crawl data from the Marginalia search project. So it's real crawl data, and that's useful if you want to experiment with the code and maybe just get a better feel for how it works than by looking at 4 or 5 domains that you have selected manually. And this is the smallest batch, and the largest is almost 200 gigabytes, so it takes several hours to process. Right, but now we have processed the sample data, so now we should be able to go into this load step. This is something we need to do because we have sideloaded data, and it means we can actually merge processed data sources. So we will be loading the 100 article Wikipedia, we will be loading the web archive file, and we will be loading this sample data. And you can actually go into the details and get some information here about what it is. And these Parquet files, you can interrogate them with like DuckDB or something. Right, but this is looking good. So let's trigger the loading, and this should be relatively quick. You will see a lot of stuff happening on the screen in relatively rapid succession. It will process these files and basically do the work that's necessary for loading them into the system. You can look, there's a log line here, index switch OK. Well, when you see that, then it's loaded into the system. Everything is fine. So let's go to the query service. See, there's more stuff showing up here now than before. We can search for frogs, maybe. We see, actually, now we're getting the Wikipedia article for frog. I know for a fact it's part of this 100 article sample. Yeah, so that's been a very, very quick and extremely chaotic overview of this operator's user interface, and there's a lot of there's wizards for a lot of the basic stuff like sideloading stuff and processing and so on, and there's quite a lot of documentation built into the user interface, like it's saying what you're doing and explaining most of the actions. There's also a manual that I've written for this, but there's still access to like the lower level inner workings of the system. Like here you're seeing the breaker switch panel for the actors in the system, for example, or the message queue, as I mentioned before. You can be a bit cheeky, and let's go to this message, and then you can copy it and provoke the system into running an action it's not supposed to be doing. So this is if something goes terribly wrong, this is where you can fix it. Doesn't go to say it's easy to fix it in this in this utility, but it's possible. And I told it now basically process into a directory that doesn't exist, so you get an exception here. But yeah, that's my point. Everything is possible, but nothing is easy. Right. And a word about this query service. You're not supposed to be using it over HTTP like this, and this is all of this text is explaining that actually you should be using something else. You can use curl or Python or something to build a front end for this, because what you're getting here is not very useful. Right. Yeah, I think that actually concludes the demo. We have some log lines here we can look at, and yeah, cool. Everything seems to be working as I expected it. There's some limitations still with this configuration panel. Not everything is as configurable as I would like it, but this is the first release permitting any sort of barebones install. So I think you will have to bear with some of the limitations that currently exist in the system. Right. Well, since this worked out, I will actually just go and make the release official and upload this video, edit it a bit to remove all the loading times maybe. Great. Great.